everyone, welcome to GALLANT IAS. Today in our Economy Current Affairs program, we are going to discuss about stagflation. So let's just start with the potential question. Which of the following is the correct definition of stagflation? The first option is it refers to a significant decline in general economic activity in a designated region. Second option is it is the constant rise in general level of prices where a unit of currency buys less than it did in prior periods. Third option, it is a condition of slow economic growth and relatively high unemployment or economic stagnation accompanied by rising prices or inflation. Last option, it is a severe and prolonged downturn in economic activity. So before trying to answer the question, let's just try to understand what stagflation is. So the word stagflation can be split into two, stag and flation, where the stag stands for stagnation, that is stagnation in economic activity or economic growth, and flation stands for inflation. So what do we infer from this? Stagflation is a combination of economic stagnation and inflation. Okay. So it is a paradoxical situation where inflation is persistently high and economic growth is slowing down. So these are the general characteristics or general situations when we say there is the existence of a stagflation situation. First of all, there is persistent high inflation. Second, there is low GDP or low economic growth. Then there is a higher rate of unemployment existing in the economy. There is recession in most of the economic activities, and stagflation is usually due to poor implementation of government policies or supply side factors. For the past 6 quarters, economic growth has decelerated with every quarter, and for the full financial year, GDP is expected to grow only around 5% or average around 5%, which is like a 6-year low. So that explains the stagnation part of stagflation. Now, as far as inflation is concerned, in October and November, retail inflation has soared to very high levels, especially fueled by our food inflation. So in October, it was at a 16-month high, and in November, it was at a 3-year high. So inflation is basically expected to be above the comfort limit of RBI, that is up to 4% of inflation is considered to be okay by the RBI, but inflation is expected to be above 4%. So that is what is causing or that is what is making people believe that India is entering a stagflation kind of situation. But let's see to what extent this is true. So India is still growing at 5%. It is not like growth has stopped or economic activity has stalled. It's just that there has been a slowdown in the economy. So we cannot say that we are in a stagnated situation because we are still growing and the growth is expected to improve in the coming years. Now the next thing is retail inflation. As I already said, inflation was fueled basically by food inflation. So that is not a permanent phenomenon. It happened because of too much rise in agricultural prices due to crop failure. Last year the monsoons were not favorable. So those are the reasons why there has been a high inflation. It is expected to come down as new food stocks will arrive. So both of these, stagnation as well as inflation, is not a permanent phenomenon or it is not a long-term phenomenon. It happened because of short-term factors and we are expecting that it will be corrected in the future. So we cannot say that India is in a situation of stagflation. So what is the big problem with stagflation? The problem is that both stagnation and inflation have opposite solutions. Like when we are trying to solve for inflation, we are actually trying to reduce economic activity. But here we cannot adopt that policy because if we go for a policy that aims at reducing economic activity, then the stagnation will be further affected. So that is why, since it is a paradoxical situation, policy formulation and implementation becomes difficult. That is why it is very problematic. So let's go back to our question. Which of the following is the correct definition of stagflation? refers to a significant decline in general economic activity in a designated region. That is not correct. That is the definition for recession. Second option, it is the constant rise in general level of prices where a unit of currency buys less than it did in prior periods. That is the definition for inflation. Third option, it is a condition of slow economic growth and relatively high unemployment, or economic stagnation accompanied by rising prices or inflation. So that is our answer for stagflation. It is a condition of slow economic growth, that is stagnation, and relatively high unemployment or economic stagnation accompanied by rising prices or inflation. So that is our option C is our correct answer. The last option, it is a severe and prolonged downturn in economic activity. That is the definition for depression. So that's it. I hope you have had an idea about stagflation. Thank you. Stay tuned for more videos.